Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Batman the Animated Series unboxing. This is for the all-in big box. So what this actually is during the Kickstarter campaign, there were 3 smaller sets that were included. Basically, like you unlock it, you get like set A, set B, set C, with different stories and different characters, and there's also like an extra bonus thing here, so it's really 4 things in here. 5 things in here. There's 5 things here. One's like just an extra bonus figure, and then there's 4 like expansions. So they're all listed as being Kickstarter exclusive, but like most Kickstarter exclusive games, or they're stated on the campaign, is that if they have extras at the conventions or possibly in their stores after everything's been shipped, they might still sell them. I don't know if they have any intention then at this point of selling each individual box by itself, or if they're only going to come in this big box. They might have just said, hey, this is, your Kickstarter, you're buying it, you're getting all of this anyhow, because we unlocked it all, so they might only release it this way. So, quick overview of what everything is. Here's a miniatures tray, which is really nice. So, there's the duplicate villain pack. So, it's a Batman duplicate. He was just like an add-on if you got everything. So, that's why I'm not sure. So, if you bought like all this, if they do releases in the other 4 small boxes, he won't be available. He should have only been available at this box. And there wasn't, I don't believe there is a way to order each one of these separately. I'm not for sure though. And then we're going to go over 2 of the different movies. The Mask of Phantasm. Mask of Phantasm and The Mystery of the Batwoman. Then we're also going to jump in to the New Adventures of Batman, which adds like NIGHTWING, some more villains. And then finally we have the villain upgrade pack, which if you watch the Ninja Turtles unboxings, so basically what this does is it makes every single villain in this game a playable hero character. So yes, you can then play Joker and Harley Quinn with Batman and Robin on a team. So especially in this game, it not only doubles, it probably like triples or quadruples the amount of playable characters. Because the Turtles game, it was a lot more even on heroes versus villains. I think there's a couple more villains. But this game, there's a lot more villains. So it's definitely cool. The other thing it also does is it makes all of the hero characters playable as villains. So again, you can actually play, Harley Quinn and Joker versus Batman and Robin. So you can play as the villains against the heroes. You can play villains and heroes teaming up. It's really cool. They changed it a little bit from how it works in Ninja Turtles. So we'll get to that when we get to that. So, just a really quick brief over. So, it's the New Adventures of Batman. Add 2 new heroes, some new villains. Mask of Phantasm, based off the hit movie. Mystery of the Batwoman, based off the other movie. I don't know if this one was as much of a hit. And then the upgrade pack, which they each have. So, these 3 each have their own episode guides. The Adventures of Batman one did not get one, unfortunately. But let's go through and look at it. So, there's just listing all our components. So, let's start looking at our cards. So, we're going to start off with good old Dick Grayson NIGHTWING. So, now you can actually, if you really want to, you could play as Robin and NIGHTWING Dick Grayson. Same character twice. There is an error, though, that has come up with this character, unfortunately. Things happen. Is that his one die shows a double melee, and his card shows a single melee. I don't remember at this time which is correct. I want to say I believe the die is correct because that's what you're going to see more often. I believe that's what they said. But just in case you've gotten this and you're looking at it, or you know just that, because they're not going to probably correct it. Like I said, as I've said in previous videos, IDW is stepping out of gaming. So unless some other company picks up this franchise and decides to re-release a second edition, they're probably not going to fix any of the mistakes. Even in some of the booklets and on some of the cards, there's some weird font changes, or not font changes, but spelling errors and grammatical errors. Nothing you can't get around, though. Alright, so here we have Nightwing. He also has a utility belt like the rest of the Bat family. Independent. When Nightwing has 2 or more enemy figures adjacent to him, he rolls +1 battle dice when attacking or defending. So if he goes solo. And then here's our good old Nightwing. So now I kind of did mention, I'll kind of point this out, as I mentioned this in one of the other videos, where they didn't have, like, the lines for, like, Lockup's eyes, like, where his eyes would poke out, and they did this for his mask, is, I guess on one hand, it almost would have been a little bit nicer if they didn't, because it looks kind of funny. That's right, he's got his mullet, too, which is hilarious. Why Nightwing got a mullet, I don't know, but he did. Alright, so his character cards are going to be Ambidextrous Detective. Nightwing may perform special actions even when an enemy figure is adjacent to him. Come and get me. When played, move all enemy figures in Nightwing's line of sight 2 spaces towards Nightwing unless they would put them in a harmful terrain or they would receive falling wounds. So he can, like, coax them towards them, but not to, like, walk into fire or walk off a building. I mean, they're not that stupid. Glide. Nightwing does not suffer falling wounds and may move through but not end in bottomless terrain. In addition, if his move action includes moving from an elevated to a low terrain, he receives 2 additional move points. Keep them guessing. Nightwing makes an attack of +2 melee strike. If the strike hits, Nightwing may either switch places with the attacked figure or deal 1 stun token. Master Acrobat. When moving, Nightwing ignores slow, rough, and elevated terrain. And his final card is Quick Wit. When defending, Nightwing counts double hits as blocks. Definitely some interesting stuff there. Alright, our next new hero is we have another Robin. This is Tim Drake. And I do like that they at least put it in parentheses. I kind of wish, knowing that they were going to release this set as the other Robin would have had, like, Dick Grayson behind his name. Or they would have had this maybe, like, Bat Family utility belt, like, a line down there that said Tim Drake. Or, like, even instead of Slippery, it was Tim Drake. Just so they kind of fit together, but I guess I get it. Because not everyone's going to get this. Anyhow, Tim Drake has Slippery. Plus there's some cool red-black dice, which contrast against the blue-black dice that Nightwing have. Robin does not need to break away from enemy figures. So you can just, like, walk away. Whatever. Treat him as, like, a small character for intents and purposes of villains. So he's got... Let's see if I can turn this a little bit more. Maybe get rid of some of that glare. Sorry. I really gotta figure out a better lighting system over here. Anywho, we have Family Portrait. When Robin is adjacent to another Bat Family figure, he does not need to pay focus to reroll his battle dice. Ooh, that's actually pretty powerful. Going on the offensive. When Robin would go on the defensive, he may instead turn his dice to the melee side icon. Oh. So going on defensive means what you can do is you can turn any number of your dice to the defense icon. So if you're like, oh crap, I'm getting hurt, you can switch all your icon to defense so you have more defense rolls. What it does though is if you switch your unused dice, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you switch your used dice, it's not a big deal. But if you switch your unused, that means now you can't perform actions with them. And if you switch your outer 2 dice, that also changes the player sitting next to you. So like if you were giving, like if Robin was giving Batman a defense dice and he switches it, or giving him a movement and he switches it to defense, now Batman doesn't have that movement anymore. But this is kind of neat because you can instead stick, nope, I'm going to switch everything to attack instead of going defensive. I'm going to switch every single dice I have to attack and go for one all-out attack. But it also could leave you completely defenseless. So it's actually a really neat idea. Speaking of that, let's just look at his little miniature right here. He got some really spiked out hair. Alright, we have Infuriating. Robin makes an attack +2 range strike. If a strike hits, the villain player must either discard a random card from the defending figure, or must discard a random card or the defending figure receives 2 stun tokens. That could suck for bad guys because I hate randomness. It makes it suck. Like if you're to discard a card, that sucks. Discard a random one, crap. Now I could lose the card that I was waiting to play next. Practice makes perfect. Robin rolls +1 battle dice for making range strikes. In addition, his strikes do not weaken for the first 4 spaces. We have Street Smarts. When active, Robin may spend his ranged icons as if they're melee or move icons. These are all about getting you to do extra attacks. And Trained by Batman. When making melee strikes, Robin counts double hits as triple hits. This is another thing, and they got their portraits on the back. I didn't show off Nightwings. But another thing I'll point out here, so on the bottom of all theirs, they have a little set symbol and the numbers. So, like, the New Adventures of, so if you go look at Shadows of the Bat or the Arkham Island, other boxes, they'll have their numbers going all the way through all the cards. Then, this one is broke up for each set. Like I said, there's the Mask of Phantasm and the Mystery of the Batwoman. Each one's listed as a different little set. Different set icons, different set numbers. So that means they might actually release them separately, or at least had intended at some point to do that for sure. Alright, so our first new villain is we have a new Arkham Asylum villain, Calendar Girl. This is her AI side. So let's look at her regular side first, her villain side. At the start of your turn, Calendar Girl receives +1 to her attack, defense, and move attribute. This remains active until the start of your next turn. So basically, during your turn, she receives a bonus. Let's see if I can find her. There she is. Nothing super special, and she's just gray. Definitely be one you'd almost want to just paint right away, just so you can tell her apart from a bystander. And that's all. As we're just doing a couple characters right now. Let's do the AI side. Calendar Girl rolls battle dice at the start of the round. If a hit is rolled, she receives 1 hit for the round. If a block is rolled, she receives 1 block. If doubles are rolled, she receives both 1 hit and block. So her AI side's not as powerful. But let's look at her cards for when she's being controlled by a player. Easter Surprise. While active, instead of making a ranged strike, Calendar Girl may place 2 smoke tokens within 4 spaces of herself that are in her line of sight. A trick. Calendar Girl's range strikes hit all enemy figures adjacent to her target as well. Ooh, splash damage. The Calendar's Boys. When played, you may spend 2 focus to either spawn 2 enforcers in an empty space with 3 spaces of Calendar Girl. Regain 1 focus. Her blue cards are the End of Days. So she has all these different colored costumes, so I wonder what color you should paint her. She's had red, either green, here's a black one. I'm sure it's per holiday. When active, it takes 2 blocks to cancel each hit from Calendar Girl's melee strikes. When played, regain 1 focus. Here she has a yellow costume. 4th of July Blast. Well active. Enemy figures within 2 spaces of Calendar Girl roll 1 less dice when rolling battle dice. And finally, we have New Year's Ribbon. When active, Calendar Girl's range strikes entangle 3 if they hit, in addition to dealing wounds. Alright, so our 4th figure is going to be Firefly. He's actually got a pretty neat little model. Like pouches on his belt, gun. His antenna doesn't stick way up, so it's either it doesn't because they didn't make it that way, or mine broke off. I couldn't tell you. This is the first time I've taken the figure out of there. So, alright, so he's a Stonegate Penitentiary. He also has flying, which is one of the few characters that have flying. I think Man-Bat might be the only other one that has standard flying so far. It's kind of weird why make a mechanic and not give it to several characters, but that's alright. Arsonist. At the start of the round, Firefly may place up to 2 fire terrain tokens adjacent to himself, or an adjacent to a fire token already on the map. If there are no fire terrain tokens available to him, Firefly may instead move a token already on the map. Firefly is not affected by obscuring terrain and fire terrain tokens. That's actually pretty cool. So you can just keep making more fire tokens. It's a good alternative to Mr. Freeze. He kept always creating ice. So his AI side is, when attacking, if Firefly deals at least 2 wounds to the defending figure during this turn, the defending figure is burned. When defending, if the attacking enemy figure rolls at least 2 miss icons, place a fire terrain token under the attacking figure. He's not affected by obscuring terrain or fire tokens. And his cards. Flamethrower. This turn, Firefly may only make a single melee strike that targets all enemy figures in a straight line up to 3 spaces. Overheat. When played, spaces adjacent to Firefly are considered to be harmful terrain to enemy figures. Oh boy. He has a Time Bomb. When played, choose non-blocking space adjacent to Firefly and place an explosive token on it. When discarded, all enemy figures within 2 spaces of explosive are dealt 4 dice of hits that may be defended against. A Flame Sword, because of course he does. When active, Firefly's melee strikes cause burns if they hit, in addition to dealing wounds. From the Ashes. When played, you may discard your hand and then redraw up to your hand size. And Soaring Heat. While active, enemy figures consider Firefly to be elevated terrain. Enemy focus, regain. When played, regain 1 focus. Alright, then the last thing we have are just the initiative cards. You have Nightwing, Robin, Calendar Girl, and Firefly. Alright, so that was the 4 new characters for the adventures, the new adventures of Robin, or Batman. It's kind of the new adventures of Robin because it's old Robin and new Robin. Alright, so here we have Batman the Animated Series, Mask of the Phantasm. Spoiler alerts for this movie if you haven't watched it, I guess. I'm not going to go into the plot of it necessarily, but just talking about some of the characters and that stuff, it might go. So we have the little table of contents showing what there is. There is 3 acts for Mask of Phantasm. So this is also sort of interesting because it's a little bit different than all the other ones. So normally it's competitive. You are playing 2 to 5 players or 1 to 4. In cooperative, now, or in this game, you're playing either 3 or 2 players. So either you're playing 2 people against the Phantasm, or you're playing 2 players against the Phantasm as an AI. Is essentially how this is working. So that's kind of interesting. Or maybe you're playing 2 people with the Phantasm. So yeah, here it says we have a little bit different, just to show these off. So you have hero, villain, and the Phantasm. So yeah, the Phantasm is going to play as a separate character. So it's basically one person's playing Batman, one person's playing the Phantasm, and then one person's playing the villain. So if you're playing cooperative, one's Batman, one's Phantasm. You're playing competitive, one's Batman, one's Phantasm, one's the villain characters. So yeah, it definitely makes that a little bit more interesting. So then, like, your setup, you're actually playing against, so villain, you gotta pick what villain you're playing against. Recommended hero using the Phantasm. And I guess you don't have to play as Batman or the Phantasm. You can actually do whatever you want. But that's supposed to be the idea. Is it Batman and with the Phantasm are doing stuff, so hero and Phantasm are trying to stop the villains. Just the Phantasm's, a little bit more aggressive. And then we have a 3rd act with a time bomb. And then, like, the Phantasm specifically there. Alright, so that's actually kind of neat. A little bit different. Let's look at our characters. So, one very cool thing about this one is we're going to get Bruce Wayne. So here we have a Bruce Wayne miniature. He's all ready for fisticuffs. So you can play as Bruce Wayne. He has his own set of dice, but I believe they're the exact same as Batman's dice. I don't believe he gets his own. He can't use it. He doesn't get to use the utility belt, which makes sense. But he has unlimited focus, which basically means he can use whatever he needs to use for focus to do stuff. But what's also cool about this is, so if we flip this one over, now we have the Batman card. And this Batman is going to be the exact same as the base game Batman, with one minor exception, and that's in the escalation, as it says cooperative. The first villain initiative card receives a second turn, and the villain's battle hand size, which is first villain initiative card. I think the original, the big box set one says the first Arkham villain. This one just says any villain. So you can interpret whichever version you want, as it just always means any villain, or if it actually does mean, one only does Arkham, one doesn't. I mean, there's, out of all the villains, like 80% of them are probably Arkham villains anyhow. So, it's not like the other one might just make it a little bit easier on you. But Bruce Wayne does get his own set of cards. So if you're playing as Bruce Wayne, you're going to get a clumsy distraction. Bruce may leap up to 2 spaces in a straight line. All enemy figures adjacent to Bruce receive 2 stun tokens. This does not count as an action. If the innocent bystander's skill card is active, then remove this card from the game. So you can bumble into someone, gain some points. But it's a one-time use card. Friends in high places. Bruce may add an ally to the game, excluding Batman. Then remove this card from the game. He's got a permanent one called Innocent Bystanders, which is the other one we was referring to. When setting up battle, Bruce may replace a bystander, if available, instead of starting in the hero area. Bruce may not be the target of an attack. If Bruce performs any action on his turn except movement, this card is removed from the game. So it's saying, like, you could stick Bruce Wayne as a playable character somewhere in there, and then you could use his one other special ability to, like, kind of mess stuff up, but he can kind of hide out amongst everybody else. And here we have Wayne Tech. Bruce may take up to 3 gadget cards from the supply, then remove this card from the game. So you can kind of set him up, and it's a one-time use. So you can put the one card out, he can sit around. This is a neat way to basically how you play as Bruce Wayne. You play innocent bystanders, so you get a hideout amongst the bystanders, but you can't do anything. You can use clumsy distraction once to accidentally bump into some of the enemies and stun them, but it doesn't do anything else. Then you can call in an ally if you like. You can grab some gadgets and get yourself prepped up to use some gadgets. And then finally, you can just straight suit up. Suit up can only be played if no enemy has a line of sight to Bruce, so if you're Bruce Wayne, you have to run. And that's sort of the Innocent Bystander card is sort of neat for that, because then you can have him somewhere else and he has to run off and hide somewhere, like maybe crouch behind a desk or do something. So I split Bruce Wayne's character sheet to its Batman side and discard all Bruce Wayne skill cards, including the gadgets. So if you get your gadgets, you can try and use them as Bruce Wayne, but it is going to make him a target. Then reselect new skills as Batman, including gadgets that you at the start of the battle. He keeps the same amount of life and gains Batman's focus. So that's kind of, there's Bruce Wayne on the back. Kind of a neat concept to play as. You get like a hidden identity. I'm glad they didn't like focus on that as a big giant thing. Alright, so our next character card we're going to get is you have the Phantasm. So if you're going to play as the Phantasm, is the Reaper. Phantasm is not affected by obscuring terrain. So this is a playable version. So you get 2 more heroes in this set as well. We have Angel of Death. Phantasm does not lose their remaining move points when they begin a new action, and they don't pay move points when moving through obscuring terrain. The Fog of Death. Choose up to 4 spaces within 3 spaces of Phantasm. In their line of sight, place smoke tokens on each of those spaces. Remove smoke tokens at the end of the turn. I almost wish they would have just said, like, here's how smoke tokens work. You look in the book and smoke tokens say, within 4 spaces, you can place up to 4 within 3 spaces of a character. And then they just would have had like a keyword on here. Like, it's kind of nice that they do write it all out for everybody. But on the other hand, it would just be kind of nice, like, oh, this person has smoke bombs, or this person has, you know, this ability. And they could have just threw a keyword on there, I guess. Instant reflexes. If Phantasm successfully blocks an attack, they may move 1 space away, ignoring breakaway. It's kind of the same way with like the villains, who they all have something that's like do this, heal 2 for and roll battle dice, right? It's like if they just would have called that the heal ability. So if, oh, this person has heal. Heal means do this. Because they have like cover and like there's so many other things you have to look at a second sheet for to try and remember, like what terrain does what, how that interacts, what crouch, climb, leap do. So, like, would it have been that hard to just consolidate some of them abilities, and you could just quickly look and be like, oh, this guy has heal, I get it. Phantasm Reaper. Phantasm makes a +3 melee strike. One defense has been rolled. Any hits over the amount required to KO or knock down enemy figure may be dealt to an adjacent figure. You can see that the Reaper is very brutal. Veil of Doubt. When active, enemy figures consider Phantasm to be obscuring terrain. And Vengeance. Each time Phantasm knocks down or KOs an enemy figure, they regain a focus. Phantasm regains one, not the knockdown guy. So there's Phantasm's model. I like that. They even have like the little lines for the mouth in there. Cape is really neat. It's all tattered and kind of like the hand is holding it. But you're only going to get one Phantasm figure. So either you play him as a hero or you play them as a villain. Just kind of cool. Because that way you can decide if you want to be Batman versus Phantasm trying to stop him. Or Batman's working, against or slash at least aside the Phantasm. Because that is the whole point. They were like extra vigilante. Here's their villain card, Vengeance. Phantasm is not affected by obscure terrain and may be activated more than once per turn. And then their AI side. When Phantasm's life is above 5, they're considered to be an obscuring terrain and are not affected by obscuring terrain. The Reaper's cards, or the Phantasm's cards, has Reaper. Phantasm may repeat your same attack against a different adjacent figure. Veil of Doubt. Enemy figures consider Phantasm to be obscuring terrain. Gain 1 focus. Vengeance. Phantasm regains 1 life for each wound they inflict. Angel of Death. Well active. Phantasm does not lose the remaining move points when they begin a new action. They don't pay move points for moving in obscuring terrain. Regain 1 focus. Fog of Death. Shoot up to 4 spaces in 3. Play smoke tokens. When discarded, remove smoke tokens. And Instant Reflexes. After any figure completes its action, you may discard this card from the queue to immediately have Phantasm make an attack of +2 melee strike. Alright. So the other thing that's in this expansion, which is kind of cool, is we're going to get 2 more villain cards. We're going to get Detective Bullock. So now you can actually play him on the bad guy's side. You could play him, I guess, as a corrupt cop. But I think the idea is supposed to be, for this set, is that you have Phantasm maybe going up against the police at some point. So here, that way, if you're playing Batman and Phantasm as hero characters versus AI-controlled villains, some of the villains could be Gotham cops that maybe the Phantasm and the villains are coming up against. So he has Detective. Beat cops within 2 spaces of Bullock receive 1 additional action when their initiative card is drawn. And after Bullock activates, beat cops within 2 spaces of Bullock receive 1 action and activate. So if he has got other beat cops near him, they get a lot more extra actions. So then we also have the beat cop, who's a minion. Says, on patrol, beat cops have 2 cards in their initiative deck. If there are 2 or less beat cops on the map at the end of the round, spawn beat cops on empty spaces on the edge of the map following target priority until there are 4. So they get to jump out and help out. You don't get extra miniatures for these. Luckily, they're both in the base game, so you don't have to worry about not having them. So then we have our initiative cards. Bruce Wayne. We have the good Phantasm as the Reaper. We have Bullock, Vengeance Phantasm, and 2 beat cops. And now I believe the Beat Cop has the same name as the... maybe it doesn't. I thought it had the same name as the regular one, but it probably doesn't. Alright. Our next little expansion is Mystery of the Batwoman, which is another movie. So there's our various cards. We have 3 acts for that, which again goes back to that 2 to 5, 1 to 4. We're getting some spoilers on the characters here. And again, there's going to be spoilers for this movie, probably, by going through some of these cards. So just a heads up, in case you haven't seen this movie. I know the entire thing, there's potential spoilers in any of the episodes and this and that. But being that this is a specific movie versus... like a 100-some episode cartoon, I think there might actually be spoilers. So this just does, the standard hero villain. We have a drop zone, which is something different. Villain spawn zone, which is something different. But this is saying the heroes start up here, they break through the skylight, they're going to try and rescue Batwoman. A couple different ones. And then some bombs. Alright, so let's jump in and look at the characters for this one. So, of course, we're going to get the Batwoman. So, now, this isn't the same Batwoman from the comic books. Who's like, there was Cassandra Cain for a while, or there is... I can't think of her name. The new one that's in, like, the current TV show, who has red hair. I don't follow Batman that closely. So this is the one for this show. It's a little bit interesting. So, here she has teamwork. She is unaffiliated, but she has a utility belt, so she's the only non-Bat family character, I believe, that has a utility belt. Batwoman receives the Rocky Ballatini, Sonika Alakana, and Kathy Ganeski's identity skill cards in addition to her other skill cards. So, I guess right there's the giant spoiler, but we would have gotten to them anyhow. Batwoman is able to change her identity. She begins as Kathy, card active at start of her turn, and they choose to swap her active identity for another. Only one identity can be active at any time. They do not count against your played skill cards, a limit of 1 per turn. So, actually kind of a neat idea for this character. So like the Bruce Wayne could be a bystander. This character is actually 3 different personas. So let's take a look at those. So we start with Kathy, and I'm going to mess up this name again. Ganesk? I'm not sure. So you start this out. So basically, while she's playing while you're Batwoman as Kathy, Batwoman rolls +1 battle dice when attacking and defending. This card remains active even if Batwoman is knocked down. It cannot be swapped or removed by effects other than her teamwork ability. You can also switch over to her Sonia Alcana. Once per turn, Batwoman may perform special action without spending an action icon. In addition, the first time Batwoman spends a focus this turn, she receives a focus that remains active even if she's knocked down. Or you can switch over to Rocky Ballatini. Batwoman may spend 1 focus to take a new gadget. This card remains active even still. So that's kind of cool. You can swap between them depending on what maybe you want to do or what ability you need at the time. Do you need extra gadgets? Switch to Rocky. Do you need the extra attacking and defending? Switch over to Kathy. Or if you want to do your special stuff for free, basically, switch to Sonia. There's her card on the back. So that's actually kind of cool. That you get the 3 different characters you just swap between. Her other cards are Bat Glider. That's just funny though. Just that she's kneeling down on it, because I'm so used to like Marvel comics and like the Green Goblin and Jack-o'-lantern type characters who all have little personal gliders that they just stand on miraculously and somehow control. And this honestly makes a lot more sense. She has to be down there, you know. When Batwoman's life is above 5, she gains the flying trait. Flying figures do not need to break away from enemies, may move through but not end on figures, and ignore blocking terrain. She has a morphing alloy she can use for range. Batwoman makes an attack plus 2 range strikes that entangles if it hits, in addition to dealing wounds. Personal Grudge, which is an infinite one. Double hits count as triple hits. Only against henchmen. And then here you can kind of see maybe who she's after. That looks like the Penguin and Rupert Thorne. So inactive enemy figures may not draw a line of sight to Batwoman through prop tokens. Props represent physical objects on the map, tokens, or spaces with terrain rules, but exclude elemental tokens. So it's saying if you place a car or a dumpster or whatever, she can hide behind it, but she can't hide behind, you know, like ice, for example. Cool. So that's kind of neat. A little different there. Then her villain that she gets to fight against, because we gotta have a new villain. Stonegate Penitentiary, we have Bane. Who definitely looks a little bit different than the stereotypical Bane. You know, I mean, he has a big giant, he has the venom, but he has like a weird spiked mask instead of more of like a regular luchador mask. Not really sure what the point of that was. Enhanced, Venom Enhanced. After an enemy figure completes an action, you may discard a Bane card to have him immediately spend 2 wild actions. And then his AI side is the first time Bane is attacked for the turn and would be wounded, he instead takes no wounds. Oh boy. So he's already got 3 defense, and then now he can ignore the first wound. That's crazy. If Bane takes at least 4 wounds, deals at least 4 wounds to an enemy figure, that figure receives 2 stun tokens. I mean, it makes sense. Bane is a giant badass, so I get it. There's our big giant Bane. Roar. But yeah, so it's kind of weird because this guy's gauntlet just goes to 1 wrist. Interesting. A little bit different design, but that's alright. You're allowed to interpret characters differently over time. So he has Beatdown. When making a melee strike, Bane counts double hits as triple hits. Unfazed. The first time Bane is attacked and would be wounded, he instead takes no wounds. Another one? Oh boy. Venom Infused. When Bane regains life and focus equal to the hits rolled on 2 battle dice. The Backbreaker. Bane may only make a single melee strike for every 2 wounds dealt. The enemy receives 1 stun token. Bound. Bane may leave up to 4 spaces in a straight line before or after attacking. Heave. Move an adjacent figure to 3 spaces in a straight line as if though they were leaping. And then we got Batwoman and Bane cards. Alright, so the next thing we're going to look at here quick is the duplicate. So this is a special unlocked character. And then we're going to do is a part 2 video for the upgrade pack, just because there's so much to go through, because every character gets all the villains in a new set of like 6 cards. So we'll just do it as a part 2 video, just so this isn't like a 4-hour long video. But Duplicate has Unaffiliated and Bat Family, and is the only character I think I've seen so far that has Machine. A duplicated detective at the start of battle. After heroes have selected your gadgets, duplicate may select up to 4 gadgets to take with also. So he doesn't have utility belt, but he gets it. Machine figures are not affected by obscuring terrain. But he can select gadgets, but he has to do it after everyone else has taken theirs. So he's limited by whatever's left. His AI side, if duplicate can't reach optimal strike range after making a move action, its range attribute changes to 5 for the rest for the rest of the turn. When attacked after wounds are dealt, it immediately receives 1 action and activates. At the end of the round, the duplicate has 4 or less life. Remove its initiative card from the deck. For this round, duplicate receives block +1 each time an initiative card is drawn. It regains life equal to the hits rolled on 2 battle dice. If duplicate's life is above 4 at the end of the round, its initiative is added back to the deck. Oh, so that's kind of crazy. So basically, if he's about to die, you take his card out for the round, and then every single time another card is drawn, not only does he gain an extra block, so he can maybe defend a little bit better, but he also has a chance to recover health. So he can recover right back up to, possibly close to full health after a round or two. But just once he's above 4, he'll go back into it. So basically, to get him down below 4, you need to focus on taking him out. Alright, so he's going to get some stuff here, and where is he? So this will be our last miniature. All the rest of them have been seen, because there's no new miniatures for the villains upgrade package. He has a robot face. He's got a sword, which is kind of cool. Like he just has red eyes. Disappeared. Choose the 4 spaces. There are 3 spaces. Play smoke tokens. When discarded, remove smoke tokens. Leaping strike. Duplicate may leap up to 4 spaces in a straight line before or after attacking. Gain 1 focus. That's the duplicate. That's the evil one pointing at regular Batman. When within 2 spaces of Bat family, duplicate receives +1 attack. He's got a finger laser. Duplicate's range strikes do not weaken for the first 4 spaces. Superior programming. Duplicate may not be the target of skills, abilities, or gadgets. And system reboot will activate at the end of each player's turn. If duplicate has not been activated, it regains life equal to 2 battle dice. And then he's got his initiative card, duplicated detective. Alright, so the only other thing I want to show off is he's got the dice. So we got a black die for Nightwing, the red and black die for Robin, Batwoman's die, and what are these other colored dice for? Black and white for Phantasm. Not black and white, gray and white, I guess. And then, who had... Okay, that's the villains dice. And then there are 4 other dice that are for the villains, which I will explain when we get to the villain video. Alright, so that's all I got for this one. Check out part 2 to see the villain upgrade pack. It's just... there's a stack of cards to go through, so we'll just do that as a separate video. just because it's going to take a little bit while to do. Alright, check you guys later. Bye.